Gathering various types of audience research has really helped me to develop and adapt my short film at each stage of production to better appeal to my target audience. This is important for me to do because these are the people who will be watching my film and who will be reviewing it. At each stage of production, criticism has encouraged me to change my ideas based on what my target audience's opinion of them were. This doesn't mean that I changed everything, however. If I didn't think some things would have fit well into my film, I didn't add them. This is largely because my target audience are not filmmakers themselves and may not know the best way to present certain ideas. An example of me doing this came with the suggestion whilst gathering responses for my questionnaire. When asked the question, do you think it would be a good idea to present each character using typical gender stereotypes, e.g. the girl wears a short pink skirt, why not? Half of those who answered said yes, and half said no. The reasoning behind the no responses were all because it may come across as sexist. However, I discounted this feedback because my aim was to make it sexist, to appear controversial and over-exaggerate stereotypes. In contrast, one of the pieces of audience feedback from my questionnaires that I received did help me to confirm my ideas on the main theme of my short film. The question was about whether people were aware of the male and female gaze theories and what participants to the questionnaire thought each of them meant. The majority of people who answered this question said that no, they had not heard of the theories, and guessed incorrectly as to what they were. This helped me to cement my ideas about basing my short film around the male and female gaze, as I wanted to educate people on what they are. The main reason I started off my audience research with a questionnaire was because I needed to confirm what my audience are interested in and want to see in a short film, so that I could make something that would live up to these demands and satisfy viewers. I also didn't have many ideas at this stage, so it was useful for me to see what my target audience would want to see and get their opinion on the little ideas that I already had. One of the recurring themes of my audience feedback was the music I used for my animatic and first edit. It was pointed out in written peer-assessed feedback for my animatic and first edit that the background music that my sister and I had created was very repetitive and, although it fit in with the tone of the narrative, became boring to listen to rather quickly. The peers who made this comment were also members of my target audience, so it was especially important for me to incorporate and listen to their ideas. This was one piece of feedback that I unquestionably agreed with, and was made apparent that I needed to change it. Although this advice was mentioned after the production of my animatic, I did not have time to create something new until after my first edit, due to the focus being on filming at this point. Having composed a second song on GarageBand this time that I'm happy with, I do not regret having acted on this feedback, even though it took me a while to get there. The brief feedback I received from, admittedly, only 3 members of my target audience was all positive and much preferred it to the original. One said that it sounds more professional and less repetitive. In terms of the uses and gratifications theory proposed by Bulmer and Katz, my film fits, primarily, into the category of information and education. This is because the aim of my film is to give the audience information that they may not have learnt if they hadn't seen the film. There is also an element of personal identity within gaze, because viewers may be able to recognise certain traits in characters that they see in themselves. The theory suggests that media users play an active role in using the media, which is exactly what the purpose of my film is to do. As a short film, there is not as much need to provide the audience with a sense of escapism and entertainment as perhaps a blockbuster feature film would, due to the lack of risk that comes with making a high-budget film. Therefore, my audience would be satisfied with this aspect of learning. One audience member said that he was glad he learnt something new, even though he realised he is now against the concept of the male gaze. Sometimes the responses I received indicated that my audience may not know about the conventions of short films. This made it difficult when asking for audience feedback because a lot of the people who watched and made feedback on my short film were not familiar with the conventions of them, so they reviewed what they saw as a short feature film. They may have viewed my film as confusing and subverting to conventions, but in actual fact it was conforming, just to different conventions than the ones they knew about. This changed how I interpreted their responses to some extent, because I knew that some of their suggestions that I liked I would have had to adapt to fit coherently within my film. Or, if I had have known that what they were commenting on would not have fit in with the rest of the narrative, I would choose not to add it in. I wish that I collected more extensive audience research right at the beginning of the process, rather than just a questionnaire. I would have, for instance, conducted interviews on members of my target audience directly so that they didn't have the surrounding influence of their peers to conduct their response. Unfortunately, this was the case with some of my questionnaire responses, which meant that I couldn't use all my collected research. I also would have directed a focus group if I did this task again, because the individual audience feedback I carried out took away the sense of a conversation with everyone commenting on each other's ideas, as would have happened in a focus group.